Hi, everybody. Here with my buddy Ollie. And yesterday, I'm told he was barking and whining too much because he gets jealous when I do these things. So if he does that, I'll put him inside today. But these are really good. I'll put a link in them. Really good treats named after Ollie. No, it's just a coincidence, but they're really good. Called Ollie, and you can get them on Amazon. They're pretty good. So I'm gonna put Ollie down now and hope he doesn't cause too many problems. He likes to cause problems. He doesn't like to. He likes to monopolize everything. So we have some interesting things today. I'm going to be talking about the Venezuela war specifically. I'm going to demolish Glenn Beck. He's a very popular guy who has his own network, even called The Blaze. And I guess I'll never appear on his network, but millions of people follow him, and he is very influential, and he has connections in Washington with Trump and everybody. So what he says, I think, reflects a lot of what's being talked about among conservatives in Washington and elsewhere. And I have friends who disagree with me strongly on this whole Venezuela thing. They think the invasion is good, although the invasion apparently lasted 30 minutes, and then we got out. And now the question is, what's next? I don't know how much they thought about that. Trump originally said we're going to run it, and then Marco said no, we're not going to run it. That's little Marco, the Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State. So Trump can't even run his own cabinet. So what's going to happen? And apparently, some things I read. The Delcy Rodriguez is the acting president. She was the vice president, and she is a apparently a strong believer in Chavismo. That's the ideology of Hugo Chavez, who was the guy elected there and socialized the country, which was dumb. But anyway, it's their country. And he died of cancer, and then Maduro took over. And also, check out um, Max Blumenthal's site called The Gray Zone. He has a good total destruction of the so called legal case against Maduro. So check that out. But I'm doing something else today here. And so we'll see. I mean, the whole country might be just against this. How is Trump going to run the whole country if 30 million people say no? We're not going to let this happen. This is our country. This is our oil. Come and take it. How many Americans are going to die on the beaches there? That's what I'd like to know. So let's go to Glenn Beck here, and I'll play this if I can do it. Okay.
At glennbeck.com, you'll see Venezuela, China, Iran, they're all connected. All of these things are connected. And if somebody tells you this is all about the oil, listen to them because it is, but I don't know if they understand what they're even saying about that. And I'll explain in a second. If they're saying, well, this is about drugs. Okay. This is about terror. This is about the hemisphere. This is about the U.S. military and the war machine. Yes, to all of those things. So let me pull them
There you
apart.
go.
First of all, right now, Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves on Earth 303 billion barrels.
Yeah. The problem though is it's heavy crude, which is harder to to refine. It costs more to refine it, and their industry is in a shambles because of the sanctions that the United States put on Venezuela for what 20 years now. It's a socialist country. It does not run well, but Mexico has socialized their oil production, and they still produce a lot. And Saudi Arabia, it's run by the government there. They bring in Western oil guys to do it, but they still own it. So that could be done. But another problem is, well, let's just continue on this here. Okay.
That's 17 plus trillion dollars at the current market value. They also claim about 8,000 to 10,000 tons of gold that is still in ground. Okay. Now, here's the part you're not being told. With all of that oil, we don't need the oil. Have you
That's right.
noticed the gas prices? They keep coming down. We don't need the oil. We need to pull the oil out of the ground ourselves, which we are. We need to refine it ourselves, which we are. China needs the oil. China buys 60 to 90% of all of Venezuela's crude exports. China also buys 85 to 90% of all of the oil from Iran. China also buys nearly half of all Russian oil. What's happening right now? Well,
Okay, that shows you there either he's ignorant of statistics or he's doing what's called lying with statistics. Because I got the numbers here. In 2025, he's saying that Venezuela, China's taking a huge percentage of Venezuela's oil and also of Iran's oil. But that's not what matters. What matters is the total China needs and how much it gets from each one. So here it is. In 2025, China imported roughly 470,000 barrels per day of Venezuelan oil, which is about 4.5% of China's total seaborne crude oil imports. 4.5%, not whatever he was saying. And and next for Iran oil, from Iran, about 14% of China's total crude oil imports come from Iran. 14%. So let's add it up. Maybe Glenn Beck can ask AI to do it, but add it up right here in my head for you. It's pretty tough. Let me tell you, this is tough. Okay, 14% plus 4.5%, that's 18.5% of China's oil comes from Iran plus Venezuela. 18.5%. Could they do without that? Of course. But it's even more than that. It's even more than that. Oh, and he mentioned Russia. Well, Russia and China are totally tight now, so Russia's not gonna cut it off. Come on. But there's another thing, which is there was this economist, Julian Simon, really great economist. I met him a couple times, talked to him. It's one of my sources. He died around, shoot, I can't remember when he died, but he was very influential. And one of the points that he made was, when you look at this was in the 70s and 80s when the liberals were saying we're running out of oil, we're all going to starve to death, and we're not going to have any oil, and the farmers won't have any oil, so they can't plant the crops and all that, so we'll all starve to death. But he said, you can't. For one thing, we're not running out of oil, but even if we were, you have to look at it not as oil, but as the whole energy spectrum. For example, oil is pretty close to natural gas. You can have a power plant that's run by oil or by natural gas, or you can run it by coal. That's the total. So what's the total for China? If you add it all up, 2.5% of China's total energy use is from oil imported from Iran and Venezuela combined. Let me say that again. It's only 2.5% of China's total energy use is from oil imported from Iran and Venezuela combined. Could they do without that? Yes, of course they could. They could just ramp it up from Russia or from somewhere else. I just read it. There was an article today. This is called Behind the News. I got my newspapers called Behind the News. But the Kazakhstan, which is a big country next to Russia in Central Asia, they're boosting their oil input too. And Kazakhstan basically is controlled by Russia, just like we control Mexico and Canada. That's just the way things work nowadays. And let's look at a couple other things here. Aside from this percentage, 2.5%, China is building 35 nuclear power plants now, and the United States is only building 2. 35 for China, 2 for the United States. We invented the technology back in the 50s along with the Russians, the Soviets. Holly's bugging me. And coal plants. How about coal plants? How many coal plants are being built near you? Come here. We're gonna have to go back in for a minute. Sorry, Ellie. He's a great dog. He just likes all the attention. So how many coal plants are being built near you? The answer is in America there's zero, but in China they're building 100 coal plants right now, 100 new ones, and they have many already, many thousands already. So they have all the energy they need. And let's see what Glenn Beck says next. Okay, here we go. And I have some other good stuff for you, so hang around.
60 to 90% of all of the exports from Venezuela now not going to China. How is China going to be able to power all of their electricity needs?
I just told you.
How are they going to do that if they don't get oil from Venezuela? Oh, and what else has been destabilized this weekend? Iran. They buy 85 to 90% of all of the oil in Iran, and those are huge oil reserves as well. So when people say this is
So let's go through the number again. He says 85 to 95% of the oil from Iran goes to China. Correct. Except, let's see my number here again. Only 14% of China's total crude oil comes from Iran. That's the real number. And combined, only 2.5% of China's total energy comes from Iran and Venezuela combined. I mean, doesn't this guy know? This guy doesn't know statistics either. That or he does. It does. Doesn't he have people on his staff who can correct this? Maybe he's not good at math. Maybe somebody else is. What's going on here? Just stupid. Okay, this is how we get into wars like this, and we get into disasters, and then your children go over there and die. Your daughters, your sons, your granddaughters, your grandsons. If we have a draft, your daughters are going to go there too. Your granddaughters, because that's the feminists will insist on it. They're going to get drafted too. Girls are 53% of the cohort, right? The young people. What do they call them now? Generation Alpha. I can't understand what these kids are saying, by the way, but my brains couldn't understand me. So here we go, Glenn. What else do you have? And I have some more. Let me go on this first. Okay, this really ticks me off. Okay, because China has other ways to deal with this problem. You remember just last year, two times Trump put way high tariffs on China because China was getting oil from Russia, which Trump is trying to squeeze that so Russia quits in the Ukraine war, which it won't do. Excuse me. Good coffee. Um, but so then what did China do? They cut off the rare earth metals that we need to build cars and defense weapons. Oh no, we call them war weapons now. Department of War. Sorry, Pighead Seth. It's Department of War, like you said. So we're getting we're getting the rare earths from there, and Trump has been talking with businessmen to ramp it up. It's going to take 5 or 10 years because we have the minerals are here. The problem is digging them out. The environmentalists prevented that. And why haven't we done it for years? Because we're stupid. That's why. The whole country's stupid. Excuse me. You should have listened to me in my editorials all these years, 50 years. Okay. Next, that's one thing. And next we have, I just mentioned they could get Russian oil. China's going to get Russian oil. And another one is China. There's three major superpowers now: China, United States, and Russia. And China has about 600 nukes, and the United States and Russia have about 5,000. But effectively, United States and Russia have 1,550 delivery vehicles. They call them. They're ready, and they can just launch them and destroy the other country in 26 minutes. 26 minutes. How long have we been going here? 14 minutes. So another 12 minutes, and we could, if they just launched it at the beginning, we'd all be dead. And Trump said China now they're going to go up because of the Ukraine war. They see the United States is not going to be friendly, so they're getting that. Uh, are we stupid? So anyway, China will have the nukes. If they can't get the oil, they'll just threaten somebody, say, give us the oil, or we'll just nuke you. They'll tell us that, wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? Would they have their people starved to death in China? And finally, another thing is, supposing Iran falls and there's some kind of country controlled by the United States, by Trump or by Glenn Beck. Maybe Glenn Beck will go over there. He never was. He never was in the military. You want your sons and daughters and grandsons and granddaughters to go die in these wars? He never was in the military. Maybe he should go over there and fight. He was born in '64, I think, so he's 60. In Ukraine, they have guys over there who are 70 years old fighting. Go over there. Okay, where are we? One more thing is, if you look on a map, most Americans don't know maps anymore. We used to learn geography. I remember learning geography at Franklin Junior High School with Mr. Helka. He was a great guy, a Finnish background. And this was in Michigan, 1967, a long time ago. Anyway, China's really close to Pakistan. And if it had to, it would make a deal with Pakistan and move a million Chinese troops through Pakistan into Iran and defend the mullahs there, defend their regime, wouldn't they? Either that or China starves to death. So that's where we are in that. Let's see what else he says here. Okay, there's all these reasons. Oh, and another thing is, like I mentioned, China and Russia and the United States are the three big powers. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to work out deals. Trump likes making deals. He's not going to, if America takes over Iran and Venezuela, assuming that even can be done, he'll just make some deals with China. That's how it works. We're big boys here, aren't we? Okay, let's see what else Glenn has to say here. I won't go too much longer, I hope. Did you stand it?
Isn't about oil, or this is about oil. The argument goes back and forth. No, it's not about oil. We don't need it. No, it absolutely is about oil, but not for us. This is about Donald Trump, again, playing to win the long game. You're not going to have any of the oil from Western allies. Not going to happen. We don't need you to win because you have all of the energy. You're not going to do it. We need the energy. The West needs the energy, and you're not pulling it out of our hemisphere. Okay, if Iran and Venezuela fall at the same time, China loses 70% of its non-US regulated oil supply. 70%. What else does that mean besides AI? You lose 70% of your. Okay, so I want to go over. I put a chalkboard up, and if you're watching us at glennbeck.com, you'll absolutely. What else does that mean besides AI?
Sorry about that, but we just said he says it's 70% of China loses 70% of its oil. No, it's what was it? 18.5%. Big difference. And then they have all these other energy sources. They'll just build some more coal plants or nuke plants. Let's keep going.
You lose 70% of
No.
your oil from that's non-US. You lose 70%. What else can't you do? Well, you can't go into Taiwan. You certainly can't have a war with Taiwan. You can't have AI dominance. There's no BRICS reserve currency. So just on the oil.
Okay, let's go through those three things. Taiwan. I wrote go to my Substack, by the way, johnseiler.substack.com. I wrote about Taiwan. And I pointed out their birth rate is so low there. It's one per woman, I think, that in about 20, 30 years, they're just going to be old people. And they'll all say, hey, China, mainland China, communist China, let's just absorb us and take care of us. That's what's going to happen. Don't need a war. If you read Sun Tzu, the great Chinese military strategist, he says the best war is the one you win without fighting. There it is. Glenn Beck doesn't know that. What does he know? And so that takes care of Taiwan right there. Next, he mentioned AI. AI. China is already we're ahead of AI right now, but in 10 years, I don't know. And I go to my Substack, johnseiler.substack.com. I have a piece there about China and science. Of the top 12 institutions for science in the world, 10 are in China, including number one. Number two is Harvard. Number nine is the Max Planck Institute in Germany. The other 10 are in China. They're leading in science, they're leading in everything. Their economy also is 30% bigger than ours. Our economy, this is according to the thing called, it's called purchasing power parity. It's different from the usual GDP, it's more accurate. And all of these are guesses, but uh, according to the PPP, China has, excuse me, $41 trillion economy in 2025. 41 trillion, and ours is 31 trillion. So theirs is roughly one third bigger than ours. They're building these huge cities. You can go on YouTube, excuse me, and you can go on YouTube and people who are traveling over there, Americans, they go to these cities that didn't exist 20 years ago, and they're huge cities now. 20 million people, all high tech stuff. The trains work, the high speed rail. California here, our high speed rail is a joke. It started out a joke, and it's always been a joke. It was started out by Schwarzenegger, and talking about a joke, what a joke governor he was. But that's another topic. So, what was the third thing he said? Well, let's see what else he says here. Um,
Oil front. Absolutely, it's about oil, but not the way everybody. Oh, that's because Exxon's going to get rich. No, because if you shut down the oil, no war in Taiwan because they don't have the energy to do it, no AI dominance because they won't have the energy to do it, and no BRICS currency. Game over for now.
the BRICS currency, they're not really having a BRICS currency yet. Maybe in 20 years. BRICS is this new organization. It's about 20 years old. The acronym comes from Brazil, India, China. No, wait a minute. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Those five countries. But there are many other countries that are part of it now, including Iran. And they're not setting up an alternative currency yet. But what they are doing is setting up alternative payment methods to the dollar. Because until recently, the dollar, or sometimes it's called the petrodollar, started in 1994, where the dollar and was linked to oil instead of gold. Gold is better, but it's another story. Anyway, it was United States. Everybody did trade around the world in oil. Almost everybody did, in the dollar, which was linked to oil. So everybody used the dollar. It was very convenient for America for various reasons, which I won't go into now. But that's been the dominant way to do it. But recently, a lot of countries have switched to alternative methods. For example, when Iran sells oil to China, they don't use dollars; they use yuan, the Chinese currency. Or when Russia sends oil to China, they use yuan or rubles. They used to use dollars. So a big problem there is all the dollars are flowing back into America. That's one of the reasons we have inflation, because the dollars are out there before being spent by those people on their huge economic deals. Now the dollars are coming back, and and Glenn Beck thinks this is going to end. No, it's not going to end, and part of it is because of these wars, the Ukraine war and the Venezuela war and the Iran war and all these wars. These countries don't trust us. Over in Europe, they were trying to rip off Russia, which had I think it was $200 billion in a bank in Brussels, and they were trying to steal that money, reserve money that Russia owns, and just steal it. So after that, what country would want to put money in Brussels, in the EU, in euros? Or what one would want to put it in America, in New York, or somewhere in dollars? They just don't trust us anymore. That's why this is so stupid. They already don't trust us, and it's not just China; it's the whole world. It's been so dumb. People used to trust us. We set up this international system after World War II, and part of it was the international currency was the dollar, and we had free trade mostly, and it worked pretty well. And, well, anyway, let's see what else Glenn has to say here. If it's not too long.
That's why this matters. And that's only one piece of this. Here's what Marco Rubio said over the weekend. We don't need Venezuela's oil. We're not going to
No.
allow, what we're not going to allow, however, is for the oil industry in this hemisphere to be controlled by adversaries of the United States. Is that imperialism? Or is that the defense of the hemisphere? I want you to know, and we'll talk about this later, because I think we have a.
Okay, I get it. We don't want foreigners taking over the hemisphere. We have the Monroe Doctrine for more than 200 years, but there's a way to deal with that. How about if we get rid of the sanctions on Venezuela and Cuba and whoever else, and be friends with these people? I wrote something on it a couple weeks ago, and it was based on Trump's national security strategy, which came out November 2nd around then, and I called it, FDR, Franklin Roosevelt, had what he called the good neighbor policy that replaced the gunboat diplomacy, where we just sent our military down there and took over these countries. Oh, what a coincidence! That's what we're doing now. Anyway, FDR called it the good neighbor policy, and we were friends with these countries instead of taking them over, and it really worked. So I called it, my version, the new version would be called the good hood policy. Nowadays we call neighborhoods the hood, so it'd be the good hood policy. But apparently Trump didn't read my article, and now we're just going to have these problems, and who knows? So let me say again, we want the hemisphere to be free of foreign control, but the way to do it is to be friends, to invest there. China's investing there. How about we invest there too? Hey, we blew $8 billion. I'm sorry, I get these numbers mixed up sometimes. Billions, trillions, millions, who knows, whatever. We spent $8 trillion on the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, and they all were disasters. I think maybe we could have spent some of that money on developing science, or maybe how about developing some nuclear plants in this country, or how about investing in Venezuela? Be a good hood policy, help them out. Instead, China, the last war they had was with Vietnam in 1979. So let's see if there's anything else here on Glenn. I'll give him his full 6 minutes and 43 seconds.
George AI today, after the show, I think we'll talk to Jason about this. I think George AI is going to talk about act of war and what the founders thought about foreign entanglements and everything else.
Oh, that's kind of interesting. He has this uh, artificial intelligence, George Washington, and he talks to him about stuff, which I haven't seen that, but that's a good idea. But he just mentioned foreign entanglements because that's what Washington said in his farewell address. Don't get entangled in the foreign countries. I think he mainly meant Western Europe, and now we have Eastern Europe, and Eastern Europe under Washington was under Russia's control. Okay, let's see what's going on here.
Um, but we can argue about the constitutionality of what Donald Trump did. Does he have the right to
Right.
do it? Well, I don't know. I I think he does. I don't necessarily like it, but I also don't like the fact that Congress would have to be involved on short-term things. The way it's generally been played is I think it's 30 or 45 days he can go in and do something in defense of the country,
Okay,
and then they have to.
that's enough. He's mentioning there the War Powers Act, which was enacted after the Vietnam War, or toward the end of the Vietnam War. The president has a certain term he can fight these wars, then he's supposed to get approval from Congress, and I think it's unconstitutional. So do people like Judge Napolitano. But the more important point is it is the war constitutional without Congress approving it, without a declaration of war? And I'm not going to argue it because the Constitution doesn't exist anymore. So what's the difference? Here it is. I got my Constitution here. I have my pocket United States Constitution, a message of true freedom. There we go. Oh no, that's not it. That's a different one. That's a different one. It's a pocket Bible. um, anyway, the Constitution doesn't exist anymore. They just do what they want to. Congress does, the president does, the Supreme Court does. So, well, that's what I have for you today, and I hope you enjoyed my destruction of Glenn Beck's so-called arguments. And let's hope this war ends soon, and Trump just declares victory and gets out. But in the meantime, remember to like and subscribe this. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe, and check out my Substack, johnseiler.substack.com. Oh, and let's see if we have. Come here, Ollie. Come on. Come on. Come on. He was looking at me. He wants the last word. Ollie does. So, all right, here we go, Ollie. He's my good buddy. See, we're ready for combat. I have my combat hat here, and Ollie's ready to go. Ready to go into war. He's 105 years old in dog years. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm going to keep following this war because it's interesting, and I followed the Ukraine war for almost 4 years, even longer than that, really, since before it started. So we'll see what happens. Everybody have a great week. It's a nice day here in California, Southern California, and we're getting ready to go into combat. So, Semper Fi for you Marines out there. My sister and brother no longer with us. God bless them. They were Marines, great ones. Okay, Semper Fi.